Congratulations to all of you, especially my brothers and sisters in the world of safety. Welcome. We need you desperately, more so than ever. You're probably saying to yourself, well, what does a guy who has experience in slips, trips, and falls have to do with me? Or maybe safety in general. Well, guess what? To all those parents in the back and all of you in the front, we're all safety people. We're all responsible for each other's safety and our own safety, right? I mean, we raise children. We care for our children, our family, our elderly members of our family, our community. We are all safety people, and I am you. The real question that I have to pose to you today is, now that you've got your advanced education, regardless of degree, what are you going to do with it? Where do you go from here? You see, today is a break point in your life. You have to make decisions about your future, not just career, but family and all the other aspects that bring you into the community that we all are part of. I mean, you're the best of America. You are the best that this country has to produce. But with your advanced education, you have an added responsibility. You have to care for other people. In fact, sometimes you have to care for other people more so than even yourselves. And I know that sounds hard to believe, who would do that, but it makes a difference. And your participation in the global community of safety is paramount, more so now than ever. I believe that we're all created for a purpose. I think there's a reason why we're here, why I'm here. God's given us gifts, each one of us very individually gifts. We have music in our hearts and our souls that yearn to be played. Play your music. Play your music. Find your destiny. What is it you're meant to do? Part of it was starting here today. You see, once you find your purpose in life, you'll be happy. That's how happiness is found. It's through purpose, through mission, through what you do, the acts of your nature, and how you go out of your way to think of others, not just yourself. You know, everybody has a different journey in life, as we heard. My journey was a little different. I was probably more like each of you. I was a non-traditional student. I wasn't particularly a good student in high school. I'll admit that publicly. In fact, I would say that thanks to my half of the class, we made the upper half possible. And I went on to college where I was not expected to be in college. My family was my foundation, my rock, my three brothers, my sister, my parents. I'm a second-generation American. My parents were first-generation Americans. And it wasn't easy, it was difficult, it was a challenge, but I went on, and I did something that would probably stun most of you. I went on and tried to attempt to get a degree in engineering and mathematics, and that was actually my weakest subject in high school. I viewed that as a challenge. If you really want to be educated, you study what's hard, right? I mean, anybody can study easy stuff. It's when you put those challenges in front of you that you become stronger. When they're making steel, you want to make the sharpest edge steel. You heat it up really, really hot, and then you pound on it. That's how my steel got formed, was shaped by pressure and heat. And if it wasn't for failure, everybody would be a success, right? So let me ask you, how do you define success? Is it money? Is it celebrity? What is it? I mean, social media is going to paint a picture of success that may be very contrary to you, what you want. And so I ask you, where do you want to go with your life? Where does God want you to go with your life? What matters to you? Graduating from college 7 years later, I like to say it was the best 7 years of my life. It took me a while. I had to work. I was married. In fact, my wife is right here in the front row, Lisa. We were married in college. 41 years we've been married. 41 years. Yeah. And she was my rock. She got me through a lot of tough times. People you associate with that really can make a big difference in your life. Graduating from college, moved to Texas. There we go. How about them Cowboys? There we go. Now we're talking. Moved to Texas, didn't have a job. My wife was looking for employment. Had to borrow money from my brother to rent a U-Haul. But you know what? It was a great challenge. It was a wonderful experience. It was hard. Look, guys, hard is good. Hard is good. Hard work really does make you better. It sharpens your steel. That along with a little bit of failure. Don't be afraid to fail. I kind of mastered failure. I was really good at it. I learned a lot from failure. As I mentioned, I moved down to Texas, took my first job as a mathematics major, selling floors. I was a floor covering salesman for a distributor in Dallas. And I loved it. I learned a lot, liked the people I worked with. But after several years of doing that, I was hearing the same complaint from my customers. And that was, Russ, we bought whatever floors. And these are grocery stores, hospitals, schools, big commercial outlets. And they said, we got a slippery floor problem. Can you give us some advice on what we can do to make our floors safer? So I'd go to my management and say, we've got customers that have a legitimate complaint about safety. What can we do to help them? And they would say to me, well, just tell them to call our lawyers. Lawyers are not safety people. But that was the reaction. The reaction was liability, fear. We don't want to get engaged. Sorry, you have a problem. It's not our problem. And there's two kinds of people. There's a person that walks by something and says, you know what? Somebody needs to fix that. There's the person that walks by and says, I'm going to fix that. Well, that's what I did. So I quit my job and came home. I had a wife and 6-month-old daughter, and she supported me. She allowed me the freedom to fail, which I did a pretty good job of that. And for 3 years, I was coming up with this concept of a cleaning product, a chemical that can be used to make floors safer. You can mop your floor with a chemical, and the floor gets safer. It's an application. That seemed to be a logical approach. Remember, I was a math major. Any math majors here? Don't be ashamed. Mathematics teaches you how to solve problems. And I was a problem solver. And so I thought, well, maybe the reason why all these floors are slippery is because they're putting soap on it, floor soap, detergent. And maybe somebody can invent a product that doesn't have soap in it so these floors aren't that slippery. So I quit my job. I'm going to set out on developing this product. I had no background in chemistry, never took a business course. But by golly, I'm going to go out and figure it out. And for 3 years, my wife supported the family. She stood by my side. She supported what I was doing, and I failed a lot. I was mixing floor cleaners up, taking them out to what were my guinea pig customers, and I was mopping floors and measuring whether or not they were getting safer. Who would do that? Who would do that? In fact, so many people would tell me, when are you going to stop? When are you going to quit? When are you going to just give up and get a regular job? You got a wife and child to support. That was a good point. But after 3 years of failure, I got a call one day from one of my guinea pig customers who said, hey, the stuff you came out with last week, it worked. Worked. Can we get more? Well, I never thought about selling it. I was just trying to figure out how to. And after 3 years of failure, and a lot of hard work, I had my first account. Newz restaurants. Not a failure anymore. In fact, people would say you were an overnight success, Russ. Overnight success. From there, the company grew. I partnered with Walmart on developing a line of slippery footwear. Many of you may know of it. It's called Tread Safe Shoes. One of the products I developed, it was originally called Traction Plus Tread Safe Shoes. My company is called Traction Plus. Partnered with Walmart. And it was, again, a simple idea. In the fast food industry, they're not making a lot of money. They can't afford $50, $60 pair of shoes. So we made them affordable. We made them safe, and we made them affordable. For $14, you can buy safety. You can be safe for $14. And that was never heard of before. Who would do that? The company grew. I then developed the pop-open wet floor sign. You see them all the time. In fact, they're here in the building. Couldn't help but notice them. looks like a tent, they spring open. We call them safety tents. I pioneered an industry that didn't exist. I invented products that people said couldn't be done. The company grew. We developed bathtub treatments, floor mats. The company grew from failure, from what should never have happened, from a person who, like yourselves, had a non-traditional education, who defied the odds. But you know what happened? I gave a damn. And people that give a damn go a long way in my book. So as the saga continued, the company grew, and I eventually founded a non-for-profit organization. My wife and I invested our income, our wealth, into what is now known as the National Floor Safety Institute, or NFSI. You see, it's about protecting people. It's about giving a damn. It's about getting involved. It's about you investing in other people. You want to be happy. Make other people safe. Take care of other people, and you will be happy forever. That's how you become happy. Not money, not material goods, not fame. It's giving to others from the heart without expecting anything in return. I just told you about the products I developed. None of you knew me. And that's okay. I didn't do it to be famous. I did it to help people. And many of you may be recipients. And many of you parents back there may be recipients. And speaking to you as parents, thank you for what you have done for these young men and women. You see, it's the people that came before us that gave us this opportunity. And always remember that. We're not a nation of victims. We're a great nation. We're a good people. We're a generous people. The United States of America is revered worldwide. Look around. And you are the United States of America. Each and every one of you represents the best of our country. Don't be afraid to work hard. Don't quit. But my last piece of advice to you, a couple points. Number one, be very careful who you choose as your spouse. You see, that person is going to have the greatest and biggest influence not only on you, but perhaps your children and the rest of your family. So who you marry matters. Okay? Makes a big difference. Second piece of advice I'd like to give you before I step off this stage is it's a little bit of soul searching. You need to be honest with yourself. And you really need to be in touch with who you are and what are the gifts that God has given you. What is your purpose? That self-evaluation can go a very, very long way. And it's frankly the bravest thing you'll ever do in your life. You don't have to be a guy who starts a company. You don't have to be, famous for anything. You could just be a really good parent. You could be a really good role model, like the people behind us. They were your role models. That's why you're here. And so in closing, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to commit yourselves today to spending a little bit more time inside yourself, learning about yourself, shutting off social media, get rid of the iPhone for an hour. I know it's hard. I have a YouTube channel. Kind of hope you guys watch it. But you know what? Spend some time with yourself in the silence, because that's where the Lord's going to speak to you. He's going to speak to you in the silence. You're not going to get a text from Him. And so go forth, every one of you. Lead by example. Change the world. Make this great country a little bit safer. Thank you.